Hello, guys. Welcome back to Trickway with myself, Train Trev, called What's Way Worse, and my man here, Grey Gamer 25. Just call
Howdy.
him Grey though. Um,
Okay.
we are maybe going to come out a few hours slightly later, but that's because we had technical issues. Oh, I had technical issues. Grey's never has problems.
Yes,
Um,
the lithium crystals ran down, and what can we do?
unless if it gets to take the camera, the cap off his camera, the app.
That's right.
But yes, so welcome back to Trackway, guys. It's another episode review of Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 4, titled Among the Lotus Eaters, which is a mad name, but I love it. I also think can't get much worse than last week's episode, Gray.
Yeah, no, everything has to go up from there.
The only way you could get worse is if they re-showed an episode from season 1 or 2 of Picard and put it in its place. It's the only way you could have
Oh
got worse,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Even Discovery would have been better than last week's episode. Well, okay, it
Yeah.
would have
Yeah,
been.
well, but I saw the title. It's funny. I know it means something, but among the Lotus Eaters, when I first saw that, I'm going like, so someone's just scarfing down a bunch of plants or what?
No, see, I knew it would mean something. It always means something, isn't it? It's not as if they do something stupid.
Right.
There's always a
Right.
meaning to the title, but I don't know what it means unless you do. No?
Yeah, I didn't bother looking it up. Sorry.
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, it's probably insignificant. Really quickly, get the housework and rules out the way. First of all, really quickly, we are on the podcast side of things as well, so you can listen to this as an audio platform, wherever you get your podcast from, and the Trickway on the Twitters as well. My man here, Gray, a bit of a hiatus due to personal issues and the lack of stuff going on in Hollywood, but we'll probably be back sooner or later for an episode of Gray's thing, which is Gray's Green Room Entertainment Podcast, and he's on all the YouTubes, the podcasts and platforms, Twitters, all under the same handle. And then just earlier tonight, we were doing a gaming pod, which was actually a great laugh with our friends Nick and Ross, and that's at Extreme PC UK. Or all those same platforms again. You can catch us there. So whatever you fancy, we are there. Right, we will kick off here. Now, I had high hopes for this one just because, like I said, last week's episode was so poor. Right? Gray gave it a 6 out of 10. 6?
Last week? No, 5.
5. I gave
Yeah.
it a 6. That's what it was. That's how bad it was, right? But this one was a little bit better as well. It was a slightly funny introduction because we had another catch up with Captain Patel of, I cannot remember the name of that bloody other Constitution starship she's captain of, but
Oh yeah.
it's another
I
Connie.
can't remember enough. Yeah.
Another
Yeah,
Connie. So
another Constitution
we
class,
must wonder, they have another get together, right? In more ways than one. We just must wonder how there's excuses from both captains to keep meeting up all the time. Oh yeah, we've got to. Could you not send a video call, or could you not do this? And no, we literally have to dock and make of that statement what you will, people. They always coming together, Patel and Pike, and they're a nice little couple, but they keep getting interrupted. Pike's doing his dinner thing, isn't he? He's naked flame on a starship, which I still find hilarious. Cooking properly, his apron's on. And he's making something nice for him, and they keep getting interrupted by someone from Patel's ship or someone from Pike's ship, and they constantly keep getting interrupted. Insignificant things like course corrections, like shut up, don't talk to me for the next half an hour. I'm trying to make some dinner for my lady, and then I want to make an honest woman of her. But they keep getting this, and then at one point, Patel actually gets interrupted properly by an admiral, and it seems like she'd been away for ages because then it switches
I was
to
wondering.
Pike sitting with the glass of wine, finishing his dinner up, and she must have been away for like half an hour or an hour speaking to this admiral. Like what?
Yeah, I know. I couldn't understand how the passage of time seemed a little odd, unless they didn't mean it that way. And then she comes back, and you could tell she's pissed off.
Yeah, what happened? What happened, Gray? What was the conversation when they come back that wasn't so good?
Apparently, I guess she was waiting to see if she was going to be getting a promotion, and if she did get a promotion from captain, it would be captain to commodore, which is right underneath admiral. So apparently, she didn't get it. Somebody else got it, and of course, she was explain or Pike said that he thinks that because of the trial of Una that she was Patel was involved with, that he thinks they're holding that against her, and that's
Yeah.
why she didn't get picked. So they were both kind of pissed off at that.
And it's an interesting thing, the Commodore rank, because we don't see much in Star Trek, right?
Mm.
I mean, I know there'll be loads of examples, but I can only really think of going back to Picard's Commodore O, the Vulcan that was really a Romulan. That was her. I mean, I know there's Commodores before, but ones that jump to my memory, Grey. And then there's obviously the more famous recent one, which is Geordie LaForge Commodore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're good, but you're a bit shit to be Admiral, so we'll make you Admiral Light Commodore.
Admiral
Because
Light,
because then you get Admiral and then you get Vice Admiral, don't you? No, you
right?
get
And then
Vice Admiral, then Admiral, and then Fleet Admiral or something
Fleet
like that.
Admiral,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So there's 3 levels of Admiral. Don't get higher than that, basically. Or you can be
Nope.
Fleet Captain, though, can't you? Can you not be Captain, Fleet Captain, and then
You probably could, but when you talk about a fleet admiral or a fleet captain, it's a different thing. You're still a captain or you're still an admiral,
you're like team
but
leader
you
for that mission or something?
right, exactly. So you could end up being a fleet leader, as you say, but maybe not necessarily next time.
There you go.
You
There
know,
you go. They follow the Navy system, probably the US Navy, obviously, for more than
yeah.
say the Royal Navy or something like that, and they
Mhm.
follow it very loosely. But that's kind of the idea. Anyway, the guy,
But on the other hand, what is interesting in Star Trek history, though, is they do have starships with HMS.
yeah,
You've
they're
seen.
something different, though, aren't they, Gray?
Yeah, so you do. It's not. I mean, yes, it's mostly based on the American way. We understand that, but every so often you see the HMS whatever, and it's like, okay, there you go,
Yeah, and
little
then
different.
you had Reed from Enterprise, the English guy
Hmm.
that was the tactical officer, and they do talk a little bit about the Royal Navy there and what they do and what they don't do and that thing. So I mean, everyone's represented. It's just obviously it was written in the States
Yeah,
by an American writer, so it kind of makes sense. Um,
sure.
this week the gang are off to Rigel 7. Now I know this, and even I've seen this episode. Gray never even told me to watch this. I've already watched it off my back. Um, it was the planet that Pike visited in the very first episode of Star Trek, the pilot. With who played the original Pike again, mate? Remind me.
Jeffrey Hunter.
Thank you, mate. Jeffrey Hunter. There we
Hmm.
go. The Cage, and it's a good episode. I like it. I mean, I generally do. Um, they've got to mop up their mess from the Cage episode. Basically, it's a nice little tie-on. I like how they do this. Like add it
Yeah,
together. You
it
know,
was.
you can add on to canon. Just don't ruin canon or rewrite it. You can use what's there before and improve on it and add to it. Um, they're all getting ready to go down to an away mission to clean this up, and they're not going to, because last time they went down with Starfleet outfits and everything, and they just made a complete balls up of it. Which there's a note in a moment we'll get to at the end of this little bit that Greg can tell us about to sum it up for
Hmm.
those that don't recall. But they're going to go incognito down to the planet. Ortega, who I still dislike her, but she's grown on me by like
Yeah, a
5%,
little
maybe.
at a
You
time,
know,
right?
just
Yeah.
simmer down. You can be funny, but I mean the haircut as well. It's just she feels like she should be flying the Kelvin
A hot rod.
Enterprise, the hot rod. Yeah, exactly, the big hot rod Enterprise, which is disgusting. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a little bit funny now. She's getting ready to go down, and then Pike's like, here, take this, and she starts reading it. She's like, oh yeah, yeah, there's a lot of debris, and yeah, and I'll have to change course every 20 minutes. Oh right, okay. He's like, listen, sorry, next time. We saw this in the teaser trailer for the season, didn't we? Which I found
Hmm.
amusing. And she's a bit gutted. Who's going to fly the ship then, sir? And he's like, a test pilot. I'm not Ortega, but you know, we'll be fine.
I've
And
flown a little.
and then Spock is kind of, she's like, this is you, Spock, and he's like, she's like, Spock, you just need to learn when to leave someone alone and shut, because he's trying to apologize for it, and this is him trying to
Yeah.
become better as your human Vulcan relations and all that,
Relations, right?
which is amusing. But so Ortega's not going, thankfully. But the episode that this comes from, the Cage, or the follow on from the Cage, Gray, you had a little note at the very bottom just to fill people in for those that don't recall.
Yeah, the years ago when they in the '60s when they did The Cage, which was the first pilot for Star Trek, and Jeffrey Hunter played Pike. Basically, in 2254, it was a landing party from the Enterprise led by Pike. They visited Rigel 7, and while they were there, they went into an abandoned Kalar fortress, and as Pike had said, they were dressed in their Starfleet stuff. Pike and his crew were attacked by the native Kalar warriors. 3 of his crew members were killed. Yeoman Zach was killed, and several others, and other people were injured, including Spock. Some of them were hurt severely, and then later on, Pike regretted his decision of doing the way that he did do it. He should have known better that there would have been a possibility of a trap. So that's kind of what happened in the cage, and later on, the Menagerie Part 1 and 2, which was in the original series, where they integrated the cage into a different episode.
Yep. Yeah,
So that's that little history.
He's right to say that, though, Gray, because it's a total noob mistake to make from a captain like him, you know. But then again, he's less experienced at this time in his career for a captain, so you learn from your mistakes. Like you should know. It's kind of pretty obvious they're a pre-warp civilization. You don't go down with a full, you know, if you have to do it, you usually need a very good reason from Starfleet to go down to a planet that's not at the warp status yet, and incognito is the way to do it, and it usually needs to be for a good reason, not to just spy on people. That's a Star Trek movie, isn't it? It's not very good. Insurrection. Right. So yeah, he learned from his mistakes this time. He's going incognito completely, which is good. It's a shame because Ortega had the little hat. She looked like, I don't know, she looked like someone from a Mongolian tribe out in the plains or something somewhere with this little hat on. It was adorable. She was the only one that had the hat on as well. She was really excited for it. Nope, next time. So yeah, as Grace says, she's not happy and indirectly blames Spock. He apologizes.
Poor Spock, he's sitting there after she said, "You got to know when to leave people alone." He goes, "I am sorry, I am working on that." Like poor Spock. He's like,
yeah, we like Ethan Peck's taking Spock. To be fair, mate, he's never going to be Leonard Nimoy, but we appreciate that. He's doing a good job. Fair play.
He's doing a very good job. Really.
Yeah. So they take the shuttle down to the planet. They can't beam down. Typical Star Trek trope. Too much crap in the atmosphere, and telling you, Scotty or B'Elanna Torres could get you down there. I'm just saying, those two seem to be really good at that kind of thing.
Well, if you think about it, though, it makes sense because you don't want your pattern. You don't want your pattern to get screwed up on the way down. You end up, by the time you materialize down below, you're a frog or something. It's like,
I know, but you're right, man. It happens too often. It's too much of an excuse. I laugh at it. I'm not making a go at it. Yeah. So they take the old shuttle down. It's a little bit of a bumpy ride. Surprise, surprise. And literally, it seems like no time at all has passed when they land. That they're discovered straight away. They're trying to be, we came from the north when they come into some of the local inhabitants, the Kalar. And we came from the north, and there's a guy at the front who we get to learn pretty quickly is called Zach, the kind of leader of them. And he's like, "Nah, I saw your ship. I saw the streak in the sky." And I can just imagine Pike going, "Gee, God damn it, man! Like that took me forever to come up with this bloody plan and blah, blah, blah." And you've seen through it like that. We find out in a moment why. Zach.
Well, the funny thing is, they come right out and they just say, "Like, we know you're Starfleet." Like,
yes, true, yeah.
And then what was even
kind
of ironically funny is that when they came down in the proper garb, but they also didn't come down with any kind of weapons. They had weapons of the day or of the.
Yeah.
So these guys come walking up with phaser rifles. He's like, "Wait a minute,
you've done the research.
Where did you get that? Where'd you get those things from?" Like, huh?
Oh, you do see them, yeah. They've all get phasers and oh no.
And I'm doing the same thing. I'm kind of like, wait a minute, where'd they come from? Where they were to phaser rifles? I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And then Pike immediately said, he goes like, "Well, when we were here last time, we didn't keep track of like what we were dragging down because we were trying to save our lives."
It's kind of true. It's kind of true. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I found amusing was the local inhabitants are called the Kalar. Now, if anyone's a sci-fi fan, there is another little decent sci-fi show out there called The Orville, which your man MacFarlane, what's his first name?
Seth,
that's it. Seth MacFarlane. He does that. Now, Star Trek didn't copy The Orville. It was obviously Seth copying he takes a lot of content and borrows a lot, which is not a bad thing. Every great artist does that. You borrow
Sure.
good stuff from here, there, and everywhere. And he's a big Star Trek nut. I was actually watching something about that the other day, Gray, about the Orville and how season 1 and 2 were actually really funny, but then season 3 got a lot more serious. And I complained to you many times that season 3 was. I didn't dislike it. I loved it. It wasn't season 1 and 2 in terms of the humor. That's what I loved about it.
Right.
And it turned out that the studios made him. They made him put in his Seth MacFarlane humor and purpose. What you see, bless you, what you see in season 3 is actually more what Seth wanted to do, serious sci-fi type show. But in season 1 and 2, they actually, the guys, the studios went MacFarlane it, So there you go. Just a little bit off topic, but I found that interesting. So obviously, your man MacFarlane's copying a lot of stuff and borrowing stuff. The Kalar are the bad robot species, and the Orville here, they're just like a pre-warp civilization.
Orville was Kalan.
Yeah, Kalan. Who am I thinking of Kalar? No, that's the name of their planet, isn't it?
No, that was but that's what they called the Kalans. Yeah, but this is Kalar, Kalans. It's very similar.
The name of the planet, I'm pretty sure, is Kalar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably his inspiration from.
Well, just a side note too. When he made Orville, he flat out said, "I'm making this as a respect to Star Trek." I mean, he said it flat out.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. No one's denied. He's never tried to hide it. He's never tried to hide it, and many shows have tried to do that. Red Dwarf blatantly copied Star Trek and just made it a comedy version of it to the point where Patrick Stewart was going to get them sued until he watched the whole first episode and he was laughing by the end of it. So all the great sci-fi shows are borrowed from Star Trek, Star Wars. The team start getting affected pretty quickly by, it turns out to be some radiation and atmosphere that's kind of ringing in their ears, forgetfulness, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, great, it's happening really quickly, actually, here. Like, really quickly. I mean, I'm not to say that can't happen in real life if that were to happen, but it seems to be happening really, really quickly. And I asked you here in the notes, I was like, did this ever happen in the Cage episode? And you said it didn't, and that's why. We get to later on in the episode that you have to be about that area for long enough for it to happen. In the Cage, they weren't, apparently, so...
Well, yeah, but I don't want to give away the rest of the review, but there's another reason too. But in either case, though, they start getting ringing in their ears and headaches and stuff, and Leon is the one who gets it first, and because they're trying as Laan, yeah, whatever.
You're too lazy to put the apostrophe in.
As they're trying to make their way into the Kalar city, she's getting these ringing ears, but not just the ringing ears. Every time the ringing ears happens, time passes and you don't notice it.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden she's going like, why am I here right now? And they're going like, well, you've been walking with us the whole time. And like, okay. So, and then as we get to see it starting to spread, and Pike is having issues with the ringing, and the doctor's having issues with the ringing, and and the forgetfulness, and I thought it was very well done. I mean, I was okay. This is going to be interesting. How are they going to get around this whole thing now?
Yeah, it's they're dropping it flies slowly but surely. To be fair, just depends on the physiology, I guess. Who gets hit first, really? Pike's basically that guy was one of the guys that he left behind in the Cage. He thought he was dead. He thought he couldn't find him, but he wasn't dead. He's alive in this, and he's got a bit of a grudge against Pike. Pike's like, we need to go. Like, I can't leave you behind. You've contaminated everything. Well, too late. You're not going to fix that. The damage has been done. Jack's not wanting to leave. He leads the local inhabitants. He's not wanting to go anywhere. He's like a little mini king now, isn't he? So he's like, you actually, he's a mini boss.
Yeah, he said, I'm king now, and this is why should I give this up?
Yeah, he's right. We've seen this before in Star Trek many times. The Ferengi and Voyager. Oh, we're kings now. Why would we go anywhere? So at the time, I'm saying to myself, would love to know why the radiation doesn't appear to affect Zach. We get to that, obviously. We didn't know that at the time. We go through this as we come to it. They're all dropping like flies. They've lost the plot, and they're all forgetting everything and anything. But then, back on Enterprise, Ahura's listening to the comms, and I thought it was the comms that causes this. It wasn't. She starts hearing the ringing, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think it would affect anyone up in Enterprise. I'll be honest with you, man. Thought it was just a planet thing, you know. You're pretty high up when you're in a starship, you know. Did you think, like, it's a bit a strange one here that...
Yeah, at first I was trying to figure out, so how are they getting affected from the planet all the way up to this to the Enterprise? I'm like, what? As we see, as the story develops, we find out why. But it was very strange, and I was like, okay, but that's okay because the way they wrote it, it had you guessing the whole time. So I like that.
Yeah, so did I as well. Don't make it
Because
super
as long
obvious.
as you have a good explanation for it, then it all makes sense in the writing. If you do something really dumb, and then and you have no real explanation, then it's bad writing.
The writing is potentially dumb until the end of the episode because it can come good when you get the bigger, broader picture, to be fair.
Right.
So the away team have all been pretty much locked up in cages outside, and I'm thinking they're all freezing their balls off here, you know. But they're all forgetting everything by this stage. And they the three of them, Pike, Benga, and Laan, are all stuck in a cage. And this local guy kind of basically gets them out the cage. See Cage, get it? The pilot episode, the Cage of Cages. There was a link here. They kind of done that by coincidence. And this local guy's he gets them out. He's like one of the guys that looks after all the workers, and he's like, "Listen, I don't know much here. We forget everything every day, but I know who I am because I write on my arm who I am." And the three of them in the cage, they don't know who they are, but they can kind of trust each other after a short while and work together. And the local guy takes them away. They basically are doing manual labor now. They're a lot of them are stuck doing manual labor. And Pike makes a kind of comment because nobody remembers anything. Looking at his hands, going, these were never used for manual labor. And I'm just chuckling. Yeah, Captain's World, man. You've never rolled up your sleeves a day in your life. Of course he has, but he's got pretty hands. They've been manicured and exfoliated.
No calluses from swinging hammers and stuff.
He does say that as well. He's like, no calluses there, you know. So, I mean, it makes sense. The whole point of this forgetfulness thing, Gray, is they don't know who they are, but the feelings of what they know they are and just the feelings in general about everything are still there. The feelings don't go. It's just facts of, I don't know my name, I don't know his name. Like, and Benga knows that he's some kind of sort of healer later on. Just things feeling, which I found interesting. They make a break for it, of course they do. Classic. I'm getting vibes here of Star Trek 6 a little bit, actually, Gray. Undiscovered Country. Where Bones and Kirk are on that ice planet. The jail, remember?
Yeah.
So they'll make a break for it. They're taking out the guards. Laan gets caught, though. She gets slashed in the old midriff, and it looks nasty, actually.
Yeah, it does.
You're thinking maybe it's not going to be so good for her because no one remembers who they are. Gray's mentioned here at this stage he's really enjoying how the story's slowly unfolding. Slowly but surely, not giving everything away, just giving you a little bit of breadcrumbs as you go along. But then back in the Enterprise, many people are starting to forget. It's about a third of the crew now at this stage. Just a matter of time. And I'm thinking to myself, again, at the time we don't know, obviously, what we know at the end of the episode, I'm thinking really strong radiation coming from that planet to affect them up there, as we just...
Yeah, it would be impossible. And you start thinking, like, wait a minute, this
something doesn't
you
make
start
sense.
worrying that the writing is going to go down the drain all of a sudden.
Yeah,
but it didn't. They had a good explanation. So
give the benefit of the doubt to the end of the episode, you know. Apparently, on their first visit to Rigel 7, they weren't in the planet. They weren't in orbit or on the planet for as long as they currently are now. This is why. I mean, I think it's a good enough excuse. Maybe nitpick slightly that, come on, how long's too long? But anyway, they gave a reason for it. We'll go with it. Spock, rightly so, orders Ortega to take the ship into the nearby debris field, asteroid field, get them away from the planet to shield them from the radiation. That's a theory. And there's only two of them on the bridge at this stage. You notice that, Gray? Just Spock and Ortega. You know?
Yep.
They know who they are at this stage. But Spock's handing out pads to everyone of who they are in case they do forget. So you've got a pad
So
on
they can
you.
look at your pad.
Like, oh, yeah, I remember who I am. Which I found amusing. And Ortega's, we don't like her too much, but she's a good pilot, I guess, and that's why she's buying the ship after all. What I didn't know, Gray, I don't think this was in the cage. Tell me if I'm wrong. There's two types of Kalar. Certainly, maybe one species, but two types of standing. There are the people that are out in the field Kalar, as they call them, and palace Kalar. And we find out obviously why later on. They are the same people, but they've got two standings in society on the planet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's always going to be the king and the peasants.
The peasants.
Same kind of setup, just another world.
Game of Thrones and Star Trek.
Yeah.
The guys in the palace don't really seem to forget. We find this out. It's interesting, and we do find out why. But they don't seem to forget, and that's the place where Zack and his minions are. Okay, right. So the party decides, right, let's head to the palace for some answers. Makes sense. And at this stage, Benga's kind of starting to remember not remember who he is, but he knows he's a healer of some sort, but he can't do much, with what he's got. I
think the party starts knowing from what the guy was telling him, the Kalar, that they understand that they've lost their memories to a point.
Yeah.
And they understand, and they're able to piece things together, knowing that, well, the answer's got to be in the palace. But Leonig, who had gotten hurt, all of a sudden Mbenga just instinctively reacted.
It's a feeling.
So he comes right, exactly. So he comes running over there with a cloth, and
he says, "I think I'm a healer."
Right, and I think I know what to do. I would know what to do if I could get my memories back. And so
yeah,
all right, we're heading to the palace because something's But they're going on a story.
Yeah.
That the guy told them. I guess passed down for I don't know hundreds of years or something. That there's some kind of a box or something, or a casket or whatever it was in the palace that supposedly has their memories in it. And so that's all they're going on. They're going on. All right, that's it. Let's go. Let's go and let's find out what this is all about.
Yeah. And Lan at this stage is pretty bad injured. She's struggling. All Mbenga can do is put pressure on it and put some kind of basic kind of bandage thing round it. That's all he knows at this stage, And also, he doesn't have the tools that he needs to do his job anyway. So even if he had these memories, I don't think it'd make a hell of a lot of difference for it because it's a deep cut. So at this stage now, back in Enterprise, Ortega and Spock are now forgetting who they are. Like everyone's went doolally, like senile. Everyone's went senile in Enterprise, right? Now
they're all walking around like zombies.
Yeah, the one. I don't remember who I am. Help! I should laugh about that because that happens in real life, of course. But this is not real life Star Trek. Everyone's gone senile here. I'm mentioning, and now the Enterprise is getting hit by the debris and the asteroid field because Ortega can't remember how to fly the bloody ship. And she goes running away down to her quarters. This is the bit I didn't like. She goes running away down to her quarters and she's freaking out, all the bumps of the asteroids hitting the ship, and it's slowly but surely taking a pounding. And I'm just thinking, Ortega, man, what? You've forgotten your memories, but like you're freaking out because things are hitting the ship. I'd be freaking out because I have no clue where I am rather than things hitting the ship. But anyway, 5% improvement she had from me kind of get whittled down again after that. So I wasn't a massive fan of that, but she's friends now with the computer. Gray, she starts in the turbo lift.
No, I mean, I thought that was fine because it made sense. All she knew was the computer was able to answer something to her.
Yeah.
So she had no choice but to sit there and try to see if she could get more answers out of the computer. The computer doesn't quite understand what she's wanting. So I thought it was actually very good. I thought it was written well because she was trying to think of what can I say to the computer that would get me an answer to know what the hell I'm doing. So just by just being messing around and trying to figure out what to say, she says certain things, and finally the computer just says, "You're Ortega," and I'm like, "I'm who?" And then the computer says, "You're Ortega. You're the pilot. You fly the ship."
I'm a pilot.
Then she starts. Exactly, but then it's because you're running on emotions. She's starting to like, okay, now I'm remembering kind of who I am, and she just keep and I thought that was a great scene because she kept on just thinking and repeating to herself, I am Ortega, I fly the ship, I am
Yeah.
Ortega, I fly the ship, and stuff. And I did think there was one funny moment though when prior to that when remember when Spock had handed out the tablets
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
explained who they were.
Data pads.
He
Yeah.
goes and looks at his tablet. He goes, "I can't read this." I'm like, and I'm going like,
You can't
"Oops,
read it?
can't read it." He says, "I can't
No
read
one
this," and
wrote
I'm
in
trying
it.
to.
How can he not read English?
I don't know. So I'm either thinking he was forgetting he was forgetting the English language, or maybe it was in Vulcan. I don't know, but he said he couldn't read it. I'm like, great. So he wrote this thing down, but he can't read it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
So I was like, what? So I thought that was kind of funny, but I do like the whole thing with the computer because she had to
No. That
do
made sense,
something.
great. It was her freaking out before. Ah, no, make it stop. I was like, you're just annoying me now. Not when
Yeah.
she's talking to the
Well,
computer, that did make sense. But the thing is, great. At this stage here, she then goes up to. She's more determined. She goes up to the bridge. She's walking along. Well, the people that have forgotten who they are. She remembers who she is. Well, she doesn't remember who she is. She goes up and she says to Spock, "I think I can get us out of this." Do you remember that bit?
yep. Yep.
And at this stage here, she doesn't remember per se, Gray, because she don't remember at this stage. She's flying on gut and feeling.
Right.
If that
Exactly.
makes sense, we're carrying on from this idea of you don't remember, but you've got feelings. Like Mbenga knew he was some kind of healer and he could only do so much. Ortega seemed to almost completely remember her skill set, which it's a nitpick. It's all it is. It's a nitpick. Because she then goes in and she starts flying as if nothing ever happened, and she has a
Yeah, but
great
you got.
pilot.
But I kind of throw the. I'm not going to say excuse, but I kind of throw the reason that it's muscle memory. So if she's going on
True.
pure emotion,
Yep.
it's starting to come back to her, and it is muscle memory. I can remember doing this,
Yeah. That's true.
whatever. So now, obviously, if she had flown much longer, she probably would have slammed into something. But
Yeah.
she was able to hold it together long enough to to get out of the debris field. So
She remembers enough to get her out, like Gray says. At one point, like we saw in the season trailer, she does the kind of the shooting thing, like the phasers the
yeah, she's
asteroid
spinning
furler,
around phasers right through the asteroid.
which
Yeah.
is really cool. Don't get me wrong, like it's enough to soften up the asteroid so that the Enterprise still has to punch through it, but at least Enterprise is not going to bloody blow up when it hits an asteroid. The thing is, if you hit an asteroid at that speed, even with shields are not designed to withhold that really. You're probably going to
Right.
blow up the bloody ship. But she threads the needle enough to punch through. It is really good flying from her, to be fair. She remembers just
Right.
enough. And as Gray mentions here, strong emotions brought back some memories. Or I think Gray's mean in this case more so muscle memory. And he's right there. You don't forget some things.
Mm.
Back in the planet, Pike is given a hell of a beating to Zach, like literally beating the shit out of him. It was actually kind of cool and horrifying at the same time. And then he finds the box of memories. It literally is a box. It's a Starfleet box. It's got the deltas, the
Right.
delta sign on the top of it, and it's just tools. It's just tools such as tricorder, medical supplies, etc. Right? We can work with them if we remember how to use them. Their memories are starting to come back because at one point, Pike picks up a phaser rifle and he's about to shoot Zach. Zach's pleading for his life. No, please, no,
Right.
no. And he stands for a minute. He's like, of course I'm not going to shoot you. The memories are starting to come back. I found this bit cool, Gray. The reason the box, it per se, is not the box of tricks and tools.
Right.
It's the box is the palace. Literally. Big,
Right.
weird shaped box thing. And it's the ore that this palace is made from protects everyone from the effects of the radiation. And obviously, Pike's asking about people out in the field, like the guards and the soldiers and whatnot, get helmets on. That's why they weren't seeing out, there we go.
Yep. Now it's all being explained properly. And I'm like, okay, all right.
This is where the good writing comes in, because if they hadn't explained that, we would have just went, this is a shit episode, and where's the writing coming from? So it was kind of cool. I liked that bit, Gray.
Yeah.
So yeah, same with guard's helmet, like I say as well. Thing is, I was going to say, he seems to get his memories back really quickly. I thought, great, on the Palace. But he also started getting affected by the radiation pretty quickly. So maybe it balanced itself out in terms of timescales. It comes on really quickly, but as soon as you're blocked from it, you're okay pretty quickly. So I guess that's not.
Well, the other thing I would think, or just me summer thinking about it, is also the fact that he was going through again strong emotions, beating the crap out of Zach, and then those strong emotions could have also accelerated the process
Yeah,
of
true.
trying to remember.
Like Ortega,
And
the muscle memory, it's forced
right,
by shock and horror and.
and I like the fact that he remembered just in time because I thought he was going to shoot him for a
Oh
minute
yeah,
there, and I'm like,
literally.
I said you don't want that on your conscience if you don't
Imagine
have
you get
to.
your memories back after. Oh no, there's nothing there. There's just ash. I've vaporized them.
That's right. He's gone.
He's dead, Jim.
Well, you never saw him in the first place. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's true. He did. He thought he was gone. And Benga and Lan are back in the palace now, and they've got their memory back. Thank God. They remember everything. And Benga saves the day because he's got all his medical know-how back. He's got proper bandages on. Thank God there was medical supplies in that box because
Right.
they didn't bring anything with them. So
Right.
that was interesting. Now, the Enterprise, what's going on there, senile crew, it's kind of explained a little bit. It was actually the asteroid fragments that were causing the problem in the first place. And they got accelerated to being senile and Enterprise by flying into the bloody thing that was causing the problems. Whereas before they were just stuck in between it. Now they've actually went right in amongst the debris and caused an issue.
Right.
So made sense. There's something in the asteroid, the ores, whatever, that's causing this problem.
The radiation.
Yeah, and Spock comes up with an idea to improve the shields to block the radiation's effects. Of course he does. Mr. Science Man science your way out of that. Now this is interesting. I want Gray's opinion on this one. Pike has a great plan to. Well, he's a decent plan to remove the asteroid fragment, the big chunk that was left on the planet. Now what I see here is two shuttlecraft lifting this massive fragment up. I thought that was slightly far-fetched. Two little tiny shuttlecrafts lifting a massive chunk of an asteroid up to space with tractor beams. I didn't even think you could get tractor beams in a shuttlecraft, especially back then.
Yeah, I know. I think they're. It doesn't bother me too much, only in
No.
respects that because we're doing a series that if they did the original series today,
Yeah.
they would have all these advantages and
True.
et cetera, et cetera. So I can understand that. However, on the other side of the coin, though, I think it would have been better to have a tractor beam from the Enterprise tractor it
Yes.
off the planet.
Well,
That for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously it's a much bigger ship. It has more power. Two, it would have made a great looking scene
well,
of pulling this asteroid off.
we do follow on from that. Gray makes a good point. I wanted so basically the two shuttlecraft left the fragment into space, and then
Right.
I'm actually writing it on my notes at this point. I'm like, why is Ortega claiming to save the day when she's in the Enterprise and it's the shuttlecrafts that have done the hard work? And then I had to watch it back that part again. The shuttlecrafts lift the fragment up, let go, at the exact same time Ortega and the
Enterprise.
Enterprise is literally tractors
Grabs
the fragment straight away, and then does what we saw in Picard, which is the old throw it
Old
around
sling
trick,
method.
sling maneuver,
Yeah.
which is
Which again
it's far
brought
fetched,
me to
mate.
right, but it also brought that doesn't bother me because I can see that can be done. But what bothered me is so why did you need the shuttlecraft to bring the fragment up
Yeah,
when
you
you
could
could
have
have
went
just
down
used a
there.
ship to bring it all the way up
Yeah,
anyway?
yeah. We've seen the
I'm like that would have
Enterprise how
been
many times in the atmosphere of a planet already?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, he's right there. He's right there.
I mean, it is a bit of a nitpick. It's not a big deal, but it made it kind of was a little goofy. You're going to spend time taking this up with two shuttlecraft when you could have just zapped it with the Enterprise and then flung it.
The Enterprise is not super maneuverable compared to more futuristic ships we've seen in Star Trek, right? Because of I'm not saying it's not maneuverable, but
Well,
for her to
yes and no. I mean,
grab the asteroid with a tractor beam and then sling it away, I always thought that was a bit far-fetched when I saw it in Picard, and Picard's further ahead in the timeline, so it's a nitpick. It's what we
yeah,
do here,
yeah.
Now, the reason Pike's doing this is so the Kayla remember who they are. There was the question, Gray, of Prime Directive and whether it's been broken or not, because I think, was it number one or Spock that says that? And he says, well, no, it's not, because that wasn't part of their natural evolution. And I'm like, no,
Right.
maybe it was. An asteroid came there, crashed. That is natural. No one put it there. So I kind of disagree with that a bit, Gray. I think he is actually breaking the Prime Directive a little bit.
Well, I think maybe, but he's also coming up with a fairly solid argument. So I don't think anybody's going to really challenge him on it.
Well, he breaks it all the time
Because
anyway, doesn't he? So may as well.
yeah, but I mean, but at least it was a fairly logical explanation. I mean, because you could sit there and say the same thing about our planet. Okay, well, we got hit by a lot of asteroids and stuff at one time. Was that natural? Well,
Yes.
yes and no. It was natural because we happened to be in the way of these asteroids, but it could have also been where we never got hit. So
It's just the Prime
it's
Directive was breaking too easily.
it's stretching it a little bit. It's the prime stretchy directive.
It's what I think the king of breaking it was Robert April. They say that in the first episode he broke it 4 times that he's had hot dinners. That was the raw Wild West.
He had to make the call, right?
Like the Prime Directive was brand new then. The fact they didn't call it the Prime Directive, they called it General Order 1 back then.
General Order 1, yeah.
So yeah, interesting. I found there, but we just nitpick. We don't make a big deal out of it. And they save the day. Everything's okay. The Kayla all remember who they are. Blah blah blah. Now, Gray was just mentioned here at the bit about Picard season 3, where they done the same bit with the tractor beam. Now, I guess my counter to that, Gray, was literally just that's 200 years in the future. It's more realistic. I think it should have happened with the Enterprise. I don't think the Enterprise had the capability to do that.
Well, what they could have done with the Enterprise, and you're right, what they could have done
was
with
pick it up from the planet, tractor it, and just take it into space,
and then let it go and just move
and not
away.
sling it. Yes, you're right, mate. Yeah,
right. It would have just traveled in a straight line right to the.
See, Star Trek writers, see for the next season after all these strikes are finished, just hire Gray now, right? We won't write because we'll suck at writing, but we'll be your canon reminder. Like, you can do this, you can't do that.
And it only costs about $50,000 a year.
Yeah, well, that's pretty generous. Yeah, like we don't ask for much, to be fair. And then literally the last scene is just Pike and Battelle making up, because like it kind of ended with them earlier on in the episode where they're always getting interrupted. It's not working out. It's not meant to be. And Pike's basically saying, "Listen, this probably shouldn't be." And the thing he doesn't mention to Battelle is, I don't know if she knows about this or not, that he knows he's going to die in so many years. So what's the point of having a serious relationship, But he doesn't mention that, which is kind of good, because I don't want him to use that as an excuse not to live his life.
Yeah,
but
right.
He does make a point, like they hardly ever see each other, they're captains of starships, maybe they shouldn't be doing this. And then he gives him a little kind of like totem thing.
Yeah, she gave that to him early,
necklace.
which basically is and there's precedent to that today because people give religious medals around that supposedly protect you. So this thing that he was wearing is a whatever patron saint or whatever you want to call it, that basically they get you home. So it's a medal of something that says they always lost sailors, it'll always get you home.
Yeah.
And that's what impressed him, and he was back, and
which is
then
sweet.
They got kissy face, and they were all happy, which is cool. The other thing I think too is their relationship is not a relationship of one that we're gonna get married and have kids one day.
Just having
fun.
The
relationship is that they want to have fun because they know that any day they could die.
Yeah.
So why sit there and not have fun or whatever? Just enjoy it,
Yeah.
And I thought it was really nice that Pike really ate crow, boy, and he's sitting there going like apologizing to her and saying, "I'm really sorry. I hope you'll forgive me." And
because of what happened.
All in.
Yeah, because that little necklace thing that she gave him done its job. It got a lost sailor home, and he is a sailor in the space term. So it done its job, and he realised, listen, you're actually the one I was wanting to come back to, so maybe it will step up a little bit more, and maybe the actress that plays Patel, she's maybe a recurring guest more so in this season. We'll see. But the makeup there, it's kind of nice, and we'll see what happens with that. Now, that's pretty much the end of the episode there. It's a little bit shorter this week here. The ratings we give this, they're, spoiler alert, they are better than last week because pretty bad episode.
Yeah.
I went 7 out of 10, purely because a 7 out of 10 is what I give an episode that's good, decent to good. No frills attached. It does what it has to do, and I enjoyed it enough. Was it
Yeah, it's
amazing? No, it
enjoyable.
wasn't. But to then jump from a 5 or a 6 away up to an 8, 9 or a 10 would have been a tall challenge. So I liked it enough to give it 7. Gray, what was your thoughts and why'd you give it?
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 7.5, but the only reason I gave it a little bit extra was because I liked the way they threw it back to the cage and the menagerie, and I was happy that as we had discussed last week, we had 2 out of 3 episodes with no Pike, and finally Pike is back.
You know the reason
and
for that, though? I told you, I don't remember.
for what? The come
Ike not
Say
being in
again?
it. Anson Mount, because he had a daughter in real life and they were
Oh,
giving him a
right,
bit more time.
right.
But yeah, they could have spread it out
But they
throughout the
could have
season
spread
a
it
bit
out
better.
better.
Yeah.
So I don't use
Yeah.
it as an excuse, But the thing is, let's face it, Anson Mount drives the show. Just
Of course he is. It's
he's
a captain
not
show.
just because he's the captain, but he's
He's
got a presence
He's
about
the
him.
top actor on that show as well. I've heard of it.
Right.
I'd not heard of anyone else in that show apart from Anson Mount. I'd heard of Anson Mount before from other things he'd done. Never heard of anyone else. So there you go.
Right. And if you want to see something else that he's done, watch Hell on Wheels, because Hell on Wheels is probably his most popular show until he got the truck job. It was on for 5 years. I believe you can still get it on some streaming service, or maybe you can pick it up. I don't know. Really, really good show. It was a Western based in mostly truth. And also one of the stars, the protagonist off and on with the character that Anson Mount played, was also Cole Meany from TNG and Deep Space Nine.
there
So
you go. Small world.
kind of interesting. Yep.
Listen, he's a good actor, definitely.
Yeah.
I love the guy. And he usually is banterous and interacts with fans on Twitter and whatnot as well. So I always like that. And he's very grateful to be in the role he is. He knows how big Star Trek is, and he knows this is the role of his lifetime. So he is very, I think they all are, to be fair. But yeah, so that'll pretty much wrap us up for this episode here. Gray loves giving half points, and a lot. I've noticed that. But he does it a lot more than I do, which is fair enough. It's a good reason. But yeah, we'll be back again next week. Of course, as always, we like comments below what you like and what you don't like. We're not even asking for a like or a dislike on the episode. That's what Ray does. He thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. You don't have to. But yeah, until next week, thank you, Gray, for that again, mate. And do your thing, my man.
Everybody live long and prosper.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.